Mhm.
And I think the thing that's really interesting about avant-garde metal, and I was, as I was like thinking about avant-garde metal and listening to all these bands that you suggested, of course, and some other bands that I was just researching, and I found it kind of interesting that avant-garde metal, to me, I think is kind of like the new progressive metal.
Mhm.
Um, and it's because the whole point, like, so avant-garde is like a French translation, means like, what does it mean? To like, it means advanced guard, I guess, is like
Yes.
the direct translation. So basically,
Yes.
avant-garde means that like it's ushering in these pioneers to like a new version of whatever it is that you're experiencing. There's avant-garde music, there's avant-garde like fashion, there's avant-garde like styles in pretty much every version of art.
Yes.
And so avant-garde is supposed to be people who are really just trying to innovate and create something that's never been seen before
Mhm.
and make something brand new and bring something fresh and new to the table. And I think that's what progressive metal was when progressive metal first started out. It was like, oh my God, what is this genre? It's something new. I've never
Yes.
heard of this. There's no way to classify it. What is it?
Mhm.
And it's like, oh, this is progressive metal. Like back when like the big three of progressive metal, which is Dream Theater, Fates Warning, and Queensryche. They were
Mhm.
like these new style of people are like, what is this? It's intricate, it's deep, it has all these like weird song structures to it,
Mhm.
and they didn't really have a way of classifying it. And so they're like, okay, this is they created basically progressive metal and what we know now. And then like years later, like progressive metal has shifted and changed, and like with Meshuggah coming out with like Gent, and now like Gent is
Okay.
like its own genre in and of itself. And so the thing that I think we've kind of lost with progressive metal, and I was watching Mike from Become the Night. He's talking about progressive metal and how,
Okay.
like, nowadays people think that progressive metal has a certain sound to it. Like, people will say, like, oh, that sounds proggy. Like, we all
Okay.
kind of know that means it has like a certain like riffage to it that's like mostly complex. It's like, oh, that sounds progressive. But the whole
Mhm.
point of
Well,
progressive metal is that it didn't sound like anything else. That was the whole point, was that it was different. It was pushing boundary. It was knocking down walls,
mhm.
creating something new. But now progressive metal has kind of started to get into an area of its own where it is
Mhm.
a sound and not really a concept. And so I think if you look at progressive metal as like sounding proggy, where all these bands have suddenly started to
Mhm.
sound the same within progressive metal, I think that avant-garde metal is actually kind of the new progressive metal in that it is the genre that is pushing things forward and creating something that people have never heard before, and just innovating all these new sounds and just making something fresh and new for the audience.
Okay. So I think that we can separate two streets for avant-garde metal right now, because I'm a fan of the more extreme avant-garde. So you can classify that as, some people like say, dissonant, but I'm not really in agreement with this term, because etymologically, avant-garde, it's a pioneer, an artist or a group of artists that brings up and make the things different. So when you are in metal, you can say that um, there are a lot of genres, but there are patterns between here and there, such as riffage, such as, you can say, power chord, you can say a lot of things in a compositive way. So within that, when you go into dissonant metal, you get a whole new point. So how can you say that that is not avant-garde? It's the definition of it. But and the other side is avant-garde metal purely, and it's more like you said. The idea of that had prog stuff back in the day, when like King Crimson formed in progressive rock, or Majesty, when they started, that created what we call now the traditional progressive metal. But back
Mm-hmm.
in the day, there wasn't tradition. There wasn't.
Yeah, yeah.
So And that being said, even if it's 30 years for avant-garde extreme metal, it's still a little genre. It's a little subgenre, and if you think how many bands in less years makes, I can say an example of melodic death metal. When In Flames, At the Gates, Dark Tranquility started, everything, there were a lot of people that played that style, that played that thing, and when you get into progressive, avant-garde, all that stuff, it's more rare to find something. And when you start to do a music that it's not appealable to the casual listener, it's it's more difficult to live for it, and not pretend, sorry, like impose that the listener will understand you. And none of the avant-garde artists that I ever know have the point in mind that I will play avant-garde and all experimental stuff to have more public possible, because it's impossible. It's
Yeah,
incoherent.
exactly. So like the difference now that I feel like I'm seeing is that like progressive metal wants to be a pioneer. They want their influence to spread, and they want other bands to be inspired by their sound
Mhm.
and kind of like move that sound forward, have, you know, other bands take it and run with it. Whereas avant-garde metal is not really interested in spreading its influence. It's
Mhm.
interested in being creative and individual, unique in and of itself, and not really
Mhm.
interested in spreading its influence everywhere. It's just happy with being its weird, unique self.
Yes,
I don't know. Do you
and
agree with that?
there. Yes, yes, and there are these. I can say the pure avant-garde metal, and without the extreme, without the dissonance and all that stuff. It's more like it. That's why I uh, I invited you to listen to Esoctrillium and the other band that I don't really remember. Uh,
Uh,
but
I don't know how
mm,
to say any of these band names.
okay,
For,
okay,
I don't know how to say any of them. But yeah, I think I know what
okay,
you're talking about. Yeah.
okay. And because Esoctrillium have the more pioneering in idea, and there are extreme metal in it, but you can say that that's not the point. It's not the point to be extreme as possible, being expressive with violence as possible. Uh, Other than my favorite band, it's an avant-garde metal band that it's Diablo Swing Orchestra, and they were, I always say, they are my favorite band. And there is no, I know that it's rare to find a person that can say it's my favorite band, because everyone say it depends on the moods, it depends
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
some stuff. And no, Diablo Swing Orchestra, I like everything they made. I like everything they do, and I can explain that. And they just play a really catchy metal, because they play a mixture of every genre in music possible, and they do practically only clean vocals. But you can say that that is avant-garde, because there is nothing like that.
Hmm. Yeah.
And in difference of this, there is this stuff that it's avant-garde metal, because it's pioneer, and it's okay, we play something that already exists in some way, but we make in our way.
Hmm.
And
Yeah,
then,
combining different elements of different, like I love when they bring in like, oh, we got an operatic singer, but we also have like an accordion and like death growls at the same time. Like that's just
yeah.
a weird combination, but a lot of the times it works, and it's beautiful to see something so strangely eclectic brought together and have
Mhm.
it actually work.
Absolutely. And then you have the genre that I'm more prepared into within the history and all that. It's your avant-garde extreme metal. That
Mhm.
it's the my video that I think you will link down in the description if anyone is interested. I just say that I advise. Okay, that was a term that I searched for for all the life. I advise 12 albums, 10 plus 2 albums, because there is this kind of a weirdo thing of myself because I don't talk in videos about albums that I don't have physically. So
Mm.
it's my just my fetish, you can say, but it's it's my stuff. And back in the day, I didn't have any essential avant-garde extreme metal uh, album that I talk about in that video. But now I have it. I have everything I want. Like uh, but in if you want to, we can talk about all that. Well, let's just start with your experience of listening to those albums that I advise in the video, and I'm curious about your opinion.
Yeah. So I mean, I found them really interesting. So I tend to, as right now, I don't love a ton of black metal.
Hmm.
I like the idea of black metal. I like a few black metal bands. Um, so for
Okay.
me, like I see a lot of black metal influence through the bands that you suggested, which isn't bad. Like I do appreciate and like the black metal atmosphere and the vocal styling. But I think it was just a really cool experience to see how versatile things were as far as like, yeah, we have the singer that's like has some sort of like black metal feels to it, or is like some riffs that were very like black metal in inspiration sounding, but also to have it just totally transformed by everything else in the band, or just to have it be a little bit, I don't know. And it wasn't extreme, it wasn't, sorry, I mean, it wasn't what do you call it, technical death metal, which
Mhm.
is kind of what I'm more used to as far as like more extreme metal goes. It was not that. I liked that it wasn't just constantly just blaring insane in your face like 110% the whole time. I like that it had some valleys and peaks, it had some slow parts, it had some weird unexpected melodies and some strange things going on. So I
Mhm.
did really appreciate that. And I do think I need to dive a little bit more into that style of metal because it's very interesting for me. And I also think too it's really cool to see, um I don't know if this is true or this is just like from my experience, a lot of avant-garde
Just
or
express
extreme
yourself.
extreme avant-garde metal is more international. Like I don't know if the United States has caught on as far as like American avant-garde extreme metal bands are
Yes.
not really that prevalent. I feel like it's all in Europe or it's all, you guys. So
Well, it's not. That's not really true because New York is like the biggest avant-garde extreme metal
really,
capital of the world.
okay,
But
interesting. I mean, well,
I'll say something more.
just based on at least, I mean, like some from some of the other bands I was looking at too. Like a lot of them,
Mhm.
like I have no idea how to pronounce any of those band names, or a
Okay.
lot of it was in some other language. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what this is, but it's cool. I like it. And too, like I would just, if I like, I threw on like a Spotify, like avant-garde Spotify playlist or whatever,
Okay.
and I
Okay.
just to see what else was out there. And it was a lot of I don't even know because I'm kind of ignorant as far as like what other, like identifying other languages. This could be German or this could be French. I don't know, but it was a lot of international. It was like an international experience. It was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just think like as far as like extreme avant-garde metal, it's cool because it's atmospheric at the same time that it is requiring a more critical a critical listen, you know. So it's weird.
Okay.
It's this juxtaposition of being very almost like atmospheric in the background, not, you know, just a experience, but also at the same time I could totally see just diving into lyrics and then also trying to dissect certain things and then like I just needing to listen to it a couple more times to really get it in my brain and really appreciate it to its full extent.
Okay, and that's I think the whole point is it requires you and it gives you different emotions when you dive into it, and more you get into it, and more it gives you. Like one of my favorite movies ever, it's Melancholia, and that movie I hated it a lot, and there was this movie fan that every time I've seen it, he told me just retry to view it, and I think that in 2 days I have seen it like 7 times, and it's a 3 hours movie. So that just tells. And every time I just I see something, and the first time it was a horrible experience, but every time I re-see it, every time I dive into it, and more I liked it, and I think that on the from the fourth time to the seventh, I really liked it, and I was just curious to see else, to see something more, and that's really the same thing that happened with avant-garde extreme metal. I was like, wow, and that thing, it's I started it with I don't understand it, why it's dissonant, why it doesn't have sense, and after that I just keep on back on it years after years, and then I understand that you don't have it. No, I'll explain better. It's meant to be like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that thing, it's so fucking simple, but for a person, it's really tough to comprehend. It's meant to be like that. And when you have this concept in mind, you can you're just like a fisherman that someone gives you a boat and dive into it, and that happens. So from that, it was my favorite genre because it's the genre that gives me more.
Yes,
And
yes, totally agree
so
with that.
and so okay, just talk about a little bit of history, if I can.
Mm-hmm.
The history of the genre, just like many others, was made by pioneers, and I think when technical death metal was born, like with band like Cynic, like Atheist, and Atheist. I don't know how to pronounce that.
That's me. I don't know
Atheist.
how to pronounce any of these.
Okay.
We'll go
And
with that. Yeah.
okay, and this band Atheist was really different from the other bands because they put really big jazz influence into the music, till the point that it sounded like more a jazz composition than a death metal composition. And then after that, I think I don't remember chronologically when what happened when, but just say in the same time, there was bands like Demilich that propose Nespaith, that I think it's the prototype of avant-garde death metal as we know it today, with this dissonant, except a thing that it's really, really funny, and that is the voice of the singer. And it became just a meme to our channel because it's a frog. You can't define it in other ways. It's a frog.
Okay.
And no, it's not a frog. It's a toad. It's a toad.
Oh, okay. Okay. So deeper, like.
Yes. Or it's like when you listen to Inquisition, and I have a really big problem with Inquisition because I love a lot of their music, but when I listen to the voice of Dagon, it's like I don't know how to define the thing when you ring bell at a door of someone and you speak into it.
Intercom, I think.
Okay. Yeah. The voice, it's like that. It's like a person that is talking in an interphone.
Yeah.
And I can't stand it. But anyway, in 1998, it shows up what I define the most important and most the game-changing album that music, I think, ever had since like Morbid Angel, since like a band that I just explained that Morbid Angel for me it's the most important, the first scene of death metal. Not just because death, I don't like death. I like death, but Morbid Angel had this weird way of composing music, like in Blessed Art Sick or in Domination, that you have this big and sometimes slow, sometimes really fast. It's a very metamorphical sound. So, within that said, in 1998, the band Gorguts put it out Obscura. And Obscura, in my opinion, is just the most important album for the avant-garde, and every person that just give interest in extreme music just must to know it. Because even if it's not like the album that you listen to every time, it's more a cultural thing that you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like I like black metal, modern black metal, pretty much, and not really the first way or the true Norwegian black metal, because I think that mayhem is one of the worst thing that happened to the music in like every time. I can't stand
they were the pioneers of
no
metal.
The important I didn't touch the importance.
Yeah, no, I don't like mayhem. I'm just probably people are gonna be mad, but I don't like mayhem. I'm sorry, but again, like you said, I can appreciate that they, like they pretty much put black metal on the map if it wasn't already there, or they kind of created black metal. I don't know who really created it, but they definitely made it a thing with all the murder and all that. Yeah. But like you said, and it's really cool as far as like I think of metal, or at least extreme metal, that includes like death growls and stuff like that, is like an acquired taste. Like the first time, I don't think there's many people out there who listen to any kind of death metal for the very first time ever and are like, yes, I love this. I mean, maybe they're like people, but like for the most part, all of us are like, this is shit. What is this? They're just screaming. Yes. But you know, like you listen to it over and over again, and like eventually, for some reason, you're just like, wow, this is fantastic. It's like alcohol or like whiskey. Like I don't like whiskey, but like there's like no one starts off with their first sip of whiskey being like, this is good. Like awful. It's
I don't
terrible.
think so.
But you keep drinking it, and you're like, oh, then you get to understand the nuances, and you can pick out certain subtle like tastes and hints and things like that, and you really come to really appreciate it and love it. And so I think that's the same thing too with any type of extreme metal. Like the first time you listen to it, you're going to be like, this is awful. This was not a good experience. But the more you expose yourself to that type of music, that type of like chaos and extremeness, I think the more you'll come to appreciate it and then eventually come to like it. I think my very first like death metal like album of all time was Arch Enemy, War Eternal, and I wanted so badly to like the album. Like I was younger, and I already was into metal, and I was like, I really want to like death metal. I really want to like it, and so I bought Arch Enemy because people are like, oh, you're a girl, you like Arch Enemy. And I was like,
oh god.
So I bought the album and I just listened to it on repeat, and I tried so hard, and for like years I was like, I hate it, I don't like it. It wasn't up until I think like maybe 3 years after I had heard it for the first time did I actually start to enjoy death metal. So yeah, it's a long process, I think, for some people. Like I didn't like any death metal for a very long time. So yeah, interesting.
No, I understand that it happened a little bit different to me because with my friends, I remember when I was like 10 years old, 11 years old, like that, we discovered totally randomly Behemoth, and the Behemoth in 2006, 2007. Like it was the time of apostasy, I think, and we just discovered Ceremony of Shiva, and we were blown away because that thing, it's extreme. That thing, it's just noise. It's just what the fuck is that? And then I was the more interested one, but in a meme way, in a ironical way. Because wow, that thing is so extreme that you can't be serious with that.
Yeah.
But they were, and actually, I really like Behemoth between Satanica till Evangelion, and I don't really like this new face that showed with the Satanist, but it's just my taste because. I discovered Behemoth really young, and I lived with the Blackened Death period. So when they showed up and tried to propose this new black metal thing, it's just they are not the Behemoth that I loved in my little age. But I think that happens with a lot of our childish favorite bands, like. But anyway, and as I said, Gorgat is a really important band because they put it out. The first album was considered dead, that it was a death metal album. Not really like the others, but shows up a little bit of personality, but it's not really mind-blowing or something like that. And then the second album is The Erosion of Sanity, and then it was more dynamic, it was more interesting, but not quite the point that the point of creativity that I think they searched out. And then Luc Lemay, and it's not like some most people say Luc Lemay or Luc Lemay because it's French, but anyway, it's French, the pronunciation, but it's Canadian. But don't mind that. Anyway, he just studied in that period violin, and this is a fun fact. It's a simple fun fact. And then he studied violin, and it's a funny way, but there is the interview that he says this thing. I don't have any artistical freedom to say something that is not true or not proved by the artist. So he stole some of the sheets for violin from this music school to have an inspiration, and that's when and that he just put it in Gorgat's project. Three guys that are named Steve, and there is this meme that the triad of Steve, and there were Steve Ardle, Steve McDonald, and Steve something French. I don't know. I don't remember. But and then they just choose to break the rules, and they said they created this album with the thing that they won't write something that already exists or something that they have listened to it. So they were really rules to write these albums, to write this album. No power chord at all, no Slayer beat at all, and the rhythmic was more must be more various, so the listener don't have to listen like 10 minutes of blast beats. You have to listen the slower parts, the faster parts, and all this kind of stuff, and much of the composition inside Obscura, like the slide riffs or something, they were created based on the technique of violin, but adapted on the guitar, and that makes, I think, the first and the most important avant-garde extreme metal album ever existed, like in the death scene. So if you say in the black avant-garde black metal, it's a different card, it's a different topic to say. But anyway, within Obscura, and people, I think that when they listened to it, they said, okay, we can make music as we want. And I think that this thing blown out so many people. Like if you think that for the four bands, the most important band in this genre, I just have to search one band that I don't remember really where it comes from. It's from United States. So if you think that the four bands most importantly are one Canadian, one from United States, one from New Zealand, and one from Australia, you just say wow. And it's, as you said, it's a global thing. It's a really little realities that after Obscura they just understood the concept and not tried to replicate that sound, but had in mind that you can write music differently. And extreme music, it's so explorable with this topic in mind. So this concept, sorry. So that's why I think that that album, it's so important, and that's why I stated that I put it in the first place, you can say, in that video that I advise albums to the people, and that's why. But I think that you will like more the last currently album from Gorguts, that it's Colored Sands, but just because it's a concept album. So
okay. Oh yay, another concept for me to cover.
Okay, and there is one of my friends that makes video with me that review it and explained it better than obviously better of me, but I'll try it anyway. The album is divided in two parts, where the first four tracks, all this album rotates around the Buddhism and the Tibet thematic. And in the first four tracks, you have um, like some songs about the nature, some song about the Dalai Lama itself, and all that, or the geographical beauty of the Tibet. And then when the fifth track, it's strange to say in Italian because we don't have a lot of but but the fifth track is an instrumental, and it's called the Battle of Chomdo, and that from that all of the album talks about the repression of the Chinese that put it on Tibet and the population of Tibet and Buddhism in general, like the flag of the Tibet, it's prohibited right now, and the Dalai Lama, it's not allowed to enter in Tibet. Right now he lives in India, and the repression was so violent because just the monks can't defend themselves because Buddhists are pacifists, so they cannot fight back. But anyway, the Chinese made it a military operation, and all these stuff happen in the second half of the album that musically I like lesser than the first four tracks, but anyway, it's like an album 10 out of 10. 10 out of 10.
Okay.
Absolutely
okay.
Perfect. So if you are if you're curious to take a listen on an extreme
check that out. Yeah, I'll have to definitely check that out. And it's funny too, I was actually just Gojira just came out with a new album, and one of their music videos talks about the Tibetan orphans. And so that was interesting to watch. I don't really know a whole lot about the like the politics or the history that's going on currently, but definitely something worth researching and diving into. I think that's really important, especially nowadays, as far as like all the things that are going on with the world. It just seems to get worse. So it'd be nice to explore some of those things that are happening on the other side of the world. Whereas, like us Americans sometimes tend to get a little tunnel visioned as far as like what's happening with us. But it's crazy.
I think that
crazy world we're living in.
I think that every state have their own state-centrical way of thinking. That there are Italians that only care about Italy. There are Germans that only cares about Germany and all that stuff. And it's a little bit closed way of think. And we in our channel, like there were some difficulties sometimes because like we are a totally LGBT pro channel. So within that said, we have a really rigid think about that thematic, and that is Nazis or homophobes or all that persons are not allowed in this channel. And if you think like that, well, just fuck off, because we don't care about you. We don't care about these people.
And I think too, what my hopes with the metalhead community is, like, the whole idea is that we are a bunch of outcasts, a bunch of rebels, a bunch of people who maybe live outside society and maybe don't really fit in anywhere else. So, my desire is that the metalhead community would be most inviting to people who, have not been accepted by, general populations of society. But sometimes I think also metalheads can be a little bit closed-minded too. So I'm hoping, that people become a little bit more, accepting of other people, because that is, all of us are a little weird, a little strange. All of us, have been rejected, in some format. If you dress like a metalhead and you go out into the world, people are going to look at you funny. It doesn't matter. You're going to get funny looks, even though
Yes.
what you're wearing and what you're representing is not necessarily weird. It's just different. And so,
Yes.
like, I just, like, I would like to create a community that is, accepting of all people. And
Mhm.
so that's, I think that's what metal is for, really. But it's sad that sometimes it's not always the case.
I know it's like the philosophical paradox of acceptance. It's you can't accept someone that is not accepting everyone, and well, there are some people that thinks that it's incoherent, but I think that it's just if you can't stay with other people, and you think that if you listen to metal, you're a strong macho person that needs to be and I have long hair, beer, and all they think about is sex, metal, and beer. Wow, you're so profound and a really deep person, and I really care about your opinion. So, with that being said, I think that just some people needs to relax and
Mhm.
just just give in, just have fun because it's
Yeah.
it's fun. It's so fun
Hmm. I
to
agree.
to being
Yeah.
in this subculture, and
Yeah.
besides obviously that all that black metal Nazi scene, and I I sincerely have I'm sad because some people are musically really great, some bands are really great musically, but when you read the text, the lyrics, you are like, I won't support that in any way. And if I only have someone near with your merch on, I will feel bad for him and
Mm.
all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But anyway, we have so much different styles, so we can just go away and find so much better music because I don't think that the best music is made by people that are closed-minded. I
Mhm.
I think that when you make a great album, you need to be an open-minded person. You
Mhm.
need to be that, and that reconnects with Avant-Garde Extreme because I don't think that. Oh, and we're will be on a really hard and insecure boat right now. So if you want to cut this segment of the video, I will understand that. But anyway, let's talk about Deathspell Omega. Let's
Okay.
talk about them a little bit. Well, just like Wyatt XM, that is one of my favorite American channel that talks about metal. Just already responded to that, but I will do it anyway. Banger TV once said that Spell Omega are Nazis because they have Miko Aspa like a singer. Okay, Miko Aspa is a really bad person. Just
Okay.
start with that.
Okay.
It's a really bad person.
I don't know
But
anything about this, so this is all new to me.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
And well, that Spell Omega are the if Gorguts are the most important avant-garde death metal band, that Spell Omega are the most important avant-garde black metal ever existed.
Okay.
And well, they are two people that are still not recognized. I think that no, they don't play live shows. They just make studio albums, and it's a really open project that people enters in, gets out, enters in, gets out, and etc. etc. But I will say that for the last album, Banger TV reviewed it with like 2 out of 10 or 1.5 out of 10 because, and they said we will give this vote, but we wanted to give it a 0 because there is Mikko Aspa. And the thing that they don't understand that Mikko Aspa is just a turnist, and he doesn't have any power on the music that is composed or the lyrics that are written. He just sings.
Just a hired gun, yeah.
Okay. Yes, it's a hired guy. So and that just the band explained it in an interview that they said, yes, we had actually Mikko Aspa like a singer, but we had in our history some people that are in the scene of the really politically red communist black metal, and everyone was just fine with that, just coexist with each other. So with that being said, they just said this I don't know, prejudice on that album just because there is this bad person. Like okay, so if we want to do that type of thinking, well, so Burzum it's shitty because it's a Nazis. Mayhem it's shitty because they do criminal stuff, and I don't know. Emperor is bad because they killed the guy, and well, I haven't seen any people on YouTube lament about In the Night Side Eclipse, or you have?
Mm-mm.
Because it happened years ago.
Yeah, and there's this whole cancel culture about wanting to cancel all these people because of X, Y, and Z. I mean, I think it's getting a little out of hand. I mean, I know Megadeth just fired David Ellefson for some kind of.
I didn't understand that. I didn't follow the thing. What happened?
Some kind of sex scandal. I haven't kept up with it. I got to do some research. But last I heard, the girl who was angry with him or, something, she came out and said that, because people were like throwing all kinds of crazy ideas out there. And so she laid down the law and was like, this is actually what happened. And to me, based on what I read, I don't know if as much as you can trust things that you read on the internet, it didn't sound like it was that. Yeah, it didn't sound like it was that bad. It just sounded like she wasn't underage. She was a consenting adult, and they just had some kind of argument, or I don't really know. But like then, like a couple months later, next thing I know, David Ellefson's been fired from Megadeth, and all his bass tracks are being rewritten, I guess, on the new album. I was like, that seems a little extreme, unless there's something else that happened, or it was a lot worse than I thought it was. Like, that just seems like a lot. This dude's been with you from the beginning. He's as much a part of Megadeth as Dave Mustaine, in my opinion. So I don't know. Maybe I need to do some more research on the whole topic, but it just seems a little extreme to me. All these people are like, get rid of him. He does something sort of not okay. We don't want anything to do with him. I'm like, people make mistakes in life. No one's perfect. When your personal life is like out there for millions of people to critique, it's not like you're gonna have a clean record no matter what you do. So
yes. But of course, if a person it's in the bad position, in the evil position, you can say, well, that person will be treated like the bad person that he is. And for that being said, that's Spell Omega. That the album in question in this topic. They made this bad review about it, and just because Mikko Aspa, and the last Mikko Aspa interview was released in 2000, and this record was put it out like 2 years ago.
Oh wow, a long time. Yeah, so, people grow up between then. Yeah.
and then the whole point and the funny thing is that this album is called The Furnaces of Palingenesia, and this this album is all made against dictatorship.
Oh,
So
okay.
they just practically said that this band is bad because they're Nazis, but making music against dictators.
Hmm.
All right, that's that's
The
coherence.
irony, yeah, there's so much irony. Yeah, it's great.
You will like really much that Spell Omega because they are like a concept project, but from just start from the third album because their first two albums were just straight up black metal, and it's not really interesting. But from the third album till now, they made such philosophical and concept albums that are really, really mm, just good shit. And I think that they're a really important band, and you can't treat a band that is has given so much to the genre just like treat like they were some little guys from I don't know where. There were this band that like every shows go in a cemetery and broke all the toms. I don't know what happened really, but there were this band that was really um, underground. And every time they play the show, they go to the cemetery and break everything while they were drunk. And you can treat a band that is so important to the history of a genre like that
Hmm.
just because oh come on he has a singer that it is in other projects that are really bad, okay, and
Hmm.
these have affect in any way the music. I will understand if he has some power on the lyric stuff.
Hmm.
I will understand that. But he
But he doesn't.
doesn't.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So that Spell Omega are two people, and Miko Aspa is not one of them. So
Hmm. Well, that's good to know. Yeah, I had no idea. I'll definitely have to dive into that more.
okay,
But yeah, it's great. So to try not to keep this video going too long.
okay, no
Yeah,
problem.
is there anything else you wanted to say before we sign off? Anything summary wise, or
Okay, not really much because I think I can say everything and nothing about Avant Garde. I just say that I will say to subscribers that, of course, doesn't know me because I'm Italian and
Hmm.
I don't think that that much people in Tennessee talk in Italian. I don't think so.
Probably not, but you never know.
You never know, and that I lost the point. That of course doesn't know me. If you want a really challenging genre and you're just trying struggle to find something new, well, it's just a spam. Well, people will think it's just a spam, but really, just try to write down the albums that I say in the video, and I think that there are not other albums that I will say other than those because right now I'm really tired. But anyway, in well, we will if you want to, we will have another call in some time,
Hmm.
and maybe you will tell me your journey, how is it going, and
Yes.
if you found something interesting and something you fell in love or something that you absolutely hate. I'm really curious about that because
Yes,
no
yes.
one talks about this genre. So
Yeah, I would love to do that. Yes, definitely. Let's make that a plan here after, I get a little bit more immersed in the genre, and get,
okay,
a little bit more versed in all the bands and, discover what I like about it and everything. So definitely want to do
okay,
that.
okay.
But yeah, anyway, we'll sign off here. I might actually even cut this video into 2 parts maybe and do like a 2-part section.
Okay.
Include everything. But anyway, thanks you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Tommy, for sorry, you're on set. Thank you, Tommy, for being on this video with me and collaborating and just talking metal for, you know, an hour and a half or whatever. It's been really awesome to just talk to another metal YouTuber, another like-minded metalhead. So it's been great, and we'll probably do another video like this on your channel or my channel, whatever. Anyway, let me know down. Whoop. Let me just knocking stuff over. This is why I usually like drink something to keep my hands from like flying all over the place because I talk.
Okay.
Maybe if you're wondering why I drink so much in my videos, it's to try and keep my hands still.
No,
anyway.
we do that anyway. We do that too, so no problem. Well, thanks to having me, and it was an honor for me, and I will. It will be an honor to go back to this channel sometimes, and thanks.
Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you, Tommy. And if you guys are watching, links down in the description for the video we've been talking about. Also, make sure you head over to Tommy's channel. And, you know, if you speak Italian, definitely go check it out. Or just, you know, support him, give him a like on some of his videos. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, freaks. And thank you, Tommy.
Okay, bye-bye. Thank you for everything.
Bye.
Bye-bye.